Finish getting ready with me while I tell you a story about the time that I was stalked, literally 2 hours ago. I'm also going to be including pictures of the stalker and tell you how I avoided getting kidnapped and who knows what else could have happened. Anyways, I'm going to be using the shade Cinnamon by Sachi Beauty Lip Stain. This is my second favorite color. I needed to go to Sam's. I just needed groceries today, man. I go to this certain city, a 20-minute drive away from me, because it's supposed to be nicer. Like, it's a fancy city, like a yuppie city, you know? So I'm like, okay, let me go to that Sam's, because they'll probably have like better quality stuff. Believe it or not, I was raised in a very ghetto neighborhood. I have unfortunately had many situations where I've been followed. I've been in a situation where my life was at risk. And also, if you know what Sam's Club is, you know that it's a grocery store that you buy in bulk. You don't go to Sam's without grabbing a basket or without the intention of like grabbing something at least while you're shopping. You know what I mean? Any person that goes to Sam's understands that if you don't have a basket, like, what are you doing? After this dries a little bit, I'm going to go in with a nude to like do an ombre effect. I'm also going to be using one of their lip elixirs. I'm so excited. So I see this man in a brown Carhartt looking jacket, doesn't have a basket, is like scoping me out from across the department that I'm in. Like, I'm in the meat department. See him walking up, no basket. And I was just automatically like, okay, weirdo. I'm on FaceTime with my mom the whole time. So that's where I got the picture from, was I asked her to take a screenshot because he was sketching me out. And I am looking at meat and cheeses and stuff. And I notice him walk behind me. Just for funsies, I'm gonna like do a turn. And then I noticed him behind me again. So at this point, my mom's like yapping on FaceTime and I had already been like locked in on this dude. So like I interrupt her and I'm like, hey, take a picture of this man behind me. And she thought I said this pole. So she took a screenshot and this is the screenshot she got. And at the bottom, you can see him like behind me. And I was like, no. I'm gonna turn this corner and there's gonna be a guy behind me in a brown jacket. Screenshot him when you see him in the background. And so I leaned right, just like I said, because I knew he was gonna do that. So in the picture, you can see him staring just in my direction, looking for me. My mom takes that picture and I'm assuming he saw that my mom was on the phone and like looking at him back. Then he like kind of dipped for a little bit. I can't find him. But at that point, I was like, okay, he's for sure following me, because every single time I suspect I'm being followed. I learned this when I was very young and it has saved my life 3 times already. If you ever suspect that you're being followed, whether it's driving, walking, just anywhere, take 4 turns left or right in order. And if after the 4th turn, they're still behind you, you are being followed. That's what I did. I literally did a 360 around this fridge in the middle of the floor of meat and the dude was still there. So I was like, okay, I literally see you, like, you're busted now. So after that, I went down a random aisle, which is where this picture came from. And he was being so sketchy, like he didn't have a basket. He would keep pretending to pick something up like he was interested in it and then put it down. And if I moved, he moved. Honestly, he sucked at being a stalker. Like, he was being very obvious. He must have thought that I was just some dumb little ditzy girl that wouldn't notice him, but I might be a girly girl and I might look like I'm dumb, but unfortunately I was raised in the hood and I saw him. So right after that, I go to find a worker and I go to the front. I don't know where he is at this point. One of my thoughts was like, maybe this dude was LP, which is loss prevention. Basically, loss prevention is someone that pretends to be a shopper and like keeps an eye on people shoplifting. But I went up to these dudes and I showed them the picture and I was like, hey, so I'm being followed by a dude. I'm just wondering, like, is this your LP? Because he's creeping me out. And they were like, no, we don't have an LP. Here's where it gets crazy. As I was walking to go to these 2 workers, I looked to my left, like literally the next aisle over from these workers, and the guy's standing in the aisle, just like standing there. Trey and Mason, shout out to Trey and Mason, because y'all probably helped save my life. I told them what was going on. I let them know where he was. I was like, he's literally right there. Like, we were talking right here. There was an aisle right here, and then stalker dude was literally right there. He was looking in a fridge, picking up literally the most random things, turning it over, and then putting it back, and then just standing there and then like looking around. So I showed these guys a picture. They're like, no, we don't have LP, like we don't know him, thank you for telling us. And they assigned Mason to stay with me while I finished shopping. Trey went to go keep an eye on him. He radioed the rest of the people to like fill him in. So I started doing my shopping. I'm talking to Mason. I'm still on FaceTime with my mom. And then that came out so good. Oh my gosh, I think that's my new like everyday lip line with cinnamon and then ombre with nude. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Me and Mason can see Terry looking at stalker dude. I hear Trey over Mason's radio. I just approached him, asked if he needed help with anything to kind of like get him intimidated that like we notice him. Trey said over the radio that the stalker dude immediately like got really sketchy, acting really weird, grabbed literally the first thing in front of him and went to check out. I kind of freaked out because I was like, oh my God, that literally confirms this dude was being weird and had weird intentions. Hey, really quick, this is their lip elixir in Midnight Lychee and it's so pretty. pretty. After he heads to checkout, Trey radios like a few minutes later, take her to the back of the store. Don't come back up here with her until I tell you, because apparently he had called someone on his phone. He was acting really sketchy up front, coming up with all these excuses why he didn't have a Sam's card, didn't have his ID on him. And just the fact that he got on the phone with someone and started scoping out the area to, I guess they thought, look for me. They literally took me to the back of the store, and I was just with Mason waiting to hear back if I could go up front. Oh my gosh, that is so pretty. It gets to a point where Trey is like, I'll let you know when it's good, but I'm following him out to his car to make sure he gets in his car and he leaves. Apparently, he sat in his car for a good amount of time, didn't move, was acting so sketchy. And I asked if they could get his license plate, his vehicle like information, so that I can keep an eye on it after I leave. If you think you're being followed, take 4 turns. If they're still there, get a description of them, keep an eye on them, take a picture, go tell a worker and ask a worker to stay with you. Comes back, tells me that he literally stood behind his truck, took a picture of him so that that guy, stalker guy, knows we're watching you. The one who did that walked me to my car, helped load the car. We talked about like a game plan for after I leave if I end up seeing anybody and just to be careful. But yeah, honestly, who knows what could have happened? Like, who knows that guy's intentions? Who knows if he was just a creeper trying to watch me? Who knows who he was on the phone with? Who knows what he would have done if he saw me leave alone? Like, after I got home safe, was over like the shock, like that could have gone so wrong. And if I didn't have the knowledge on like how to keep myself safe in a situation like that, and I really was just unaware of my surroundings and didn't know like how to react to something like that, I could have gone down a really bad route where like you probably could have never seen from me again. You know, like we don't know those kind of things. Can we just take a moment though for my lips? So yeah, just some safety tips. Keep a defense weapon on you. Like I had pepper spray and a grape whistle. I noticed him right away. I was keeping my eye out for him. I did 4 turns, confirmed that he was following me. I had my mom take a picture of him. I went to a worker, showed them, asked someone to stay with me. Someone walked me to my car. Like, thank God for these workers too, because they took it seriously. Like I genuinely felt like they cared about making sure that I was safe and like left safe. Yeah, I just wanted to tell that story time because 1, crazy, 2, crazy, 3, if you didn't have these tips already, then hopefully this video like lets you know like it can literally happen to anybody at any time. I was literally just going to get groceries. That was it. And my day could have changed in a completely different way. Anyways, I am loving the way that my lips look right now. I don't know. Like, I'm really thinking this might be my new daily lip combo. Okay, bye.
This is terrifying. This is every woman's worst nightmare. Realizing that a mundane errand, like grabbing groceries, has turned into a hunt. And I love that she mentioned the 4 turns rule. If you don't know this, please learn it right now. If you think you're being followed, make 4 consecutive turns. If they are still there, it's not a coincidence. It's a pursuit. But what chills me the most is how instinctual this was. She saw him without a basket, just hovering. And shout out to Trey and Mason, those workers, seriously. Usually people brush this off as paranoia, but they actually investigated. They took pictures, they walked her to the car. That moment when the stalker realized he was being watched and immediately bolted, that confirms everything. He wasn't shopping, he was hunting. It's a reminder that situational awareness literally saves lives. That was a terrifying example of a stranger's dangerous obsession. But what happens when the obsession comes from someone you live with, and it's not dangerous, it's just completely delusional?
Short story long, I had a roommate several years ago, and when I first met her, she told me she was engaged. And oh my gosh, how exciting, right? Told me literally every single detail. I love to hear an engagement story. Who doesn't? Exactly. So I asked for every little detail. I'm like, oh my gosh, how did he do it? What did he say? How long have you been engaged? When's the wedding? She had no details. She said, oh. I don't know about you, but when I say I'm engaged, I want you to ask to see the ring. I want you to ask how he did it. And I'm going to tell you all about it, whether you want to or not. And so I was kind of surprised when she was like, why'd you tell me you were engaged if you didn't want me to ask questions? I'm a yapper. I want to ask questions. I want to know every single thing. And so she was kind of like, and I was like, okay, my bad. Do you not like him? Do you not want to be? You could have said no. So anyway, time marches on and I can't figure it out. She's not wearing a ring. And I was like, okay, so you are engaged or you're not engaged? Are you engaged to a person or are you engaged in a crime? Like, I don't know, not to judge. And so I asked a mutual friend of ours, I was like, so the engagement thing, like, why is should I not ask about the engagement? And she was like, the engagement? I was like, yeah, you seem concerned. And she was like, is she doing that thing again? That thing again? And I obviously had some follow-up questions, so I said, what do you mean that thing again? She said, going around telling everybody she's engaged. I said, okay, so she does this. Is she not? Is there a man? And she's like, well, there is a man, but they're long distance, and I don't really think that they're dating. And I said, because they're engaged? She said, no. Okay, then how did we get from here to there? I just gotta know. And so I was like, well, what are you talking about? And she was like, yeah, I mean, like, they're kind of dating, and, like, she really seems to be more into it than he is. And I was like, okay, well, like, how do you kind of get from kind of sort of dating to engaged? And she was like, well, she's planning a wedding. And I was like, no, I know, but how is she planning a wedding if you never asked? And she was like, well, that's a good question, none of us know. But we had to have a talk with her a while ago, and she's apparently doing it again. And I was like, I don't mean to stir up any drama necessarily. But what do you mean? And so she was like, okay, well, I'll talk to her. So she talks to her. Oh, yep, we're engaged. What are you talking about? No, he really did propose. And so I'm like, okay, maybe they are. And so I'm obviously living with her. You know, we have very close, our rooms are close together. Everything's great. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'll kind of investigate this kind of story. And so I'm like, okay, well, like, tell me more about him. Like, tell me more about, like, how you guys started dating. She asked him to be boyfriend and girlfriend. Totally fine. Love that, but this is just, you know. Then I'm like, okay, well, then who proposed? Well, he did. My source says you're wrong. And so she's like, well, he asked me. And I was like, okay, are you sure? Are you sure? And she was like, yeah, like, it was really sweet. And I said, okay, tell me about it. No. Okay. Then I don't really know what happened. Not to call her a liar, but she is lying. And so anyway, time marches on still. And so I'm talking months go by. I'm talking some time has passed. And so she's still like, yeah, we're engaged. We're engaged. She's telling other people. Everybody's like, tell me about how you got engaged. She's like, no. So it's just kind of strange. So they do FaceTime one night. And I'm sitting just a room over, and I'm eavesdropping. Obviously, I'm trying not to, but it was a very small space. I wasn't trying not to, you know. And so I hear them have this conversation, and, you know, they're just chatting for a while, and then she starts talking about their wedding. And he says, what wedding? I'm listening. And so she's like, what do you mean, our wedding? And he said, please stop doing this. I never proposed to you. I'm on high alert. I am listening at the door. And so he's like, I never proposed to you. If I wanted to marry you, I would have asked you. You'd have a ring on your finger. Okay. I'm thinking, okay, well, this is getting through to her. And he's like, so you need to stop telling people that we're engaged. And so she's crying. And now I feel really bad because I'm like, well, this is terrible. This is awful. She's so upset. Who wouldn't be? You know, you think you're engaged and then you're not. Well, you know, most people know when they're not or when they are. And so she's upset. She's crying. I'm full blown, okay, I'm your roommate now. I'm going to comfort you when you come in here. A few minutes go by. They get off the call. She comes in. She's obviously been crying. Aside from the fact that I just heard her, you could tell. So I'm like, oh my gosh, is everything okay? Is something wrong? She goes, no, nothing's wrong. And I was like, okay, you know, she doesn't want to tell me. That's totally okay. So she sits down and she starts showing me some portfolios, or, you know, I don't really know what they're called, portfolios maybe, of photographers. And I was like, oh, that's a great photographer. That's a great photographer. What are we looking for? She was like, for the wedding. For whose wedding? And so I said, oh, for your wedding? And she was like, yeah, I really need to get to planning. It's coming soon. Am I being pranked? Am I being punked? Is he in the next room? Is somebody watching me? Because what am I supposed to say? Am I supposed to say, I was actually eavesdropping your entire phone call, and no, you're not? So anyway, they have another conversation. She keeps texting him. She's like, wedding stuff. He eventually says, don't talk to me anymore. I'll talk to you when I'm ready. Okay. So a few days go by, and every single day, I'm looking over her shoulder, and she's texting him, texting. No responses. He's read them, hasn't answered. Days, texting. And then one day she goes, he hasn't really texted me back lately. Yeah, I wonder why. Should I text him again? No, you shouldn't. And she was like, I just think that I need to call him. I said, have you tried to call him? She said, yeah, a few times. I said, oh, maybe he just needs some space. She said, why would he need space? We're planning a wedding. That's the problem. You're not. And that was just really tough for me. And a lot of people that were, they knew the situation. They were like, that's so crazy anyway. And I was like, no, I've got to live here. I don't know what to do. She thinks she's engaged. She's not. Is that my responsibility? And they were like, no, don't worry about it. Well, eventually time came. We both moved out. They're married. I don't really know how they got there, but they are married now. So
Wait, hold on. This is a different kind of scary. This is psychological thriller territory. So let me get this straight. She is faking an engagement to a man who, based on that overheard phone call, doesn't even know they are dating? That detail where he says, if I wanted to marry you, you'd have a ring, and she just keeps going? That is wild. It's the commitment to the bit for me. She's crying, she's been caught red-handed, and 10 minutes later, she's showing her roommate photography portfolios? That level of dissociation is fascinating and deeply disturbing. It makes you wonder what is going on in her head that she needs this validation so badly, she's willing to invent a reality that falls apart the second anyone asks a follow-up question. So we have someone inventing a relationship that doesn't exist. Now, let's flip the script and look at a relationship that definitely exists, but the stories being told about it are completely contradictory.
Okay, I am probably the last person she should have lied about on the internet, because if you've ever seen me before, you know I'm petty and I come with receipts. So, since she wants to use my name, I will use her name, and I'm going to show the texts. I have all the receipts. So, let's start with the quick overall. We met in New York City, that is correct, on my last night or something. We had a good time. And I went home the next day, which is in California. We discussed wanting to meet again, but particularly this month, I had a super busy schedule and we'd have to be strategic if we were gonna meet up. I told her I was going to Vegas for CES for a brand deal, and at the end of the month, I was going to Park City for Sundance. Obviously, she wanted to come to Park City, but that's a group trip for me. So we thought it would be best if we were able to hang out a little bit before. So since I was going to Vegas the following week, considering it's halfway to Texas, I would just come there to her after a few days. That made the most sense. So let's start with the bullshit. And I want to make sure that you notice a pattern of how money-centered this girl is, which she even makes it super clear from her video. So I'll come back to that. Number one, I asked her in the very beginning if I should get a hotel room, which I had no problem with. She said no, very clearly right here. Second, I was booking a last-minute flight from Vegas to Texas, and the only direct was Frontier. Obviously, we both know it's a shitty airline, but my other options were $1,200 for non-directs or a $200 direct Frontier flight. On what planet would I not take that for 2 hours instead of flying 8 hours with a layover and paying more money? Very beginning, she had a lot of comments to say about it, and it's funny she mentions it because I'm a reasonable person. And I don't think any other reasonable person, I don't care how much money they have, would choose to fly 8 hours over 2 and have a stop and pay more for it. That's just not reasonable. Now, the night before my flight at 9 p.m., she switched up and said, hey, we should get a hotel, meaning I should get a hotel. I didn't even look at the hotels or the pricing or anything before telling her, honestly, you know what? I might just go home. I had been filming in New York for December. I had gone to Mexico City for a concert. Then I went back to New York to spend time with my family. I went home for a few days, which is in California, to see my friends for New Year's. And now I was in Vegas. I didn't want to spend another weekend in another hotel. I think that was totally fair. So I told her, I don't really want to do that. I can go home and we can discuss plans for something else when I have more time. It's not a problem. She told me, no, never mind. And she still wanted me to come. So I said, okay, that's fine. Before I get to her personal oddities, let's talk about dinner. I took her and her friend to dinner. My card did its little fraud thing because I had been traveling so much, and I gave them another card immediately and paid the whole bill, no problem. I don't even know why it's worth mentioning that. We didn't even talk about it. After the dinner, I also took her and all her friends out and paid for everything. So I don't understand where this money thing is coming from. It seems like it's another sad attempt to try to use money against me. I'm not sure why. She didn't pay for a single thing when I was there, which is how I always am. She also didn't pay for anything in New York. So again, I don't understand what the point of this is. Now let's talk about what happened before the video. The entire time I was there, all she did was mention money and the guys that she uses for money. The guy that's been flying her out, who she claims to never touch. I'm gonna mention the guy because I clearly don't give a shit. This guy apparently lives in New Orleans. She flies there for one day, sees him, and apparently leaves the next day. She never mentioned if she sleeps with him or not. I didn't want to ask, but she kept mentioning that and how other guys will fly her private, and this guy did this, and this guy did this. And all she did was mention money and the guys that she uses for money. I want to elaborate on that because sure, you can get your bag, you can do whatever you want, but you were making it very clear to me that you were using them. And that is something that I personally have a problem with. So with that being said, that is where I started to get the ick. Not only that, but I'm sure I'm going to cause something here because I met two of her friends and I'm going to speak to both of her friends directly. I thought you were both very kind. She hates you. She talked more shit about her friends than any of the guys she dated, and I have details. One of her friends is in a toxic relationship in which she claimed she would not speak to her friend again until she got rid of the man and she got a job. And the other, who I also really liked, she's tired of paying for you and she's also tired of hearing about your relationship. So if I were you, I would find a better friend who's a lot more supportive. Also on the subject of what was going on while I was there, before I get to the video I made, she would not stop talking about how she wants to get famous on TikTok and quit her job and that she hates it and doesn't want to work there and wants the guy that she's with to pay for everything. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with that unless you're desperate about it. The reason I say she's desperate is that she continuously asked me to help her make TikToks. And you know what? So I did. I'll put it right here. I wrote her a little script about herself to make her a little funnier than she comes off. Now, on the subject of her job and knowing that we have different beliefs, I would never pretend to be something I'm not in order to advance myself. And she continuously puts aside her morals or anything that she believes in to interact and be a part and recognize on the other side. So let's talk about the video. I wrote this script for her, which she asked me to do, about how she doesn't like cuddling or kissing or being touched, and we had a laugh from it. I told her a bunch of times, I thought it was weird that she says she's never really made out, and we had a laugh about it and all her preferences. The other thing about it is, she had been super touchy and outspoken and different things about wanting to be touchy with me and kissing, etc. I'll put that here. But still continuously told me that she's not used to that. Now, I want to reiterate, the entire time that we were talking about it, we were laughing about it. I gave her the script that I gave her because, again, we were laughing and making jokes about it. So when I made my video, after she made her video, we were making fun of the exact same thing. I didn't think there was any problem with making a joke until I posted it and she lost her shit. She immediately said she couldn't believe I posted it, I disrespected her, and I should get a hotel room. I left right away without even a fight because I was already icked out by the way that she treated her friends anyway and all the other stuff she told me. I was ready to leave, but I just think it's funny that I knew she was gonna make a TikTok because she was going to use it for clout. She was literally looking for something the entire time to advance herself, which is what she does in her career. Luckily, I think people know me on this app for having a sense of humor and always providing receipts. So it's just more proof that you shouldn't believe everything you see online. And some people are trying to use other people to harm them and to benefit themselves, even if they have to resort to lying and fabricating. Honestly, it's pathetic.
Okay, I have to respect the pettiness of bringing actual receipts. This is the modern dating landscape in a nutshell. We have her side, which we didn't see, but clearly she painted him as this cheap guy. And then he comes in with the bank statements. The part about the Frontier flight is hilarious because he has a point. Why would you pay more for a layover just to flex? But the real tea here is the disconnect between expectations and reality. She wants the princess treatment, but is allegedly treating her friends poorly, and he's clearly over it. It's a classic case of social media versus reality. Everyone wants to look like they're living the high life, but sometimes the guy just wants to take the direct flight and go home. That was messy, but it was mostly just ego. Now let's talk about deception that actually destroys lives. This next story is what happens when tech detective work reveals a double life.
Okay, so I'm gonna give y'all story time on how I found out my boyfriend was living a double life. So it was after my birthday, and he said he was going to Miami to make a couple plays and like make a couple plays so we can go out the country when he got back. So right before he left, he kind of boned to pick with me. Like we had kind of got into an argument, so we kind of like fake broke up. And so, boom. When he got to Miami, he was strictly only texting me. The first day he was strictly only texting me. I wasn't really surprised about it because, you know, we kind of fake mad at each other. So the texting was cool the first day. So then the second day come. So he liked to talk on the phone. He loved to talk on the phone. So the second day and he ain't called me, that was the first red flag. So then, boom, later on down the line, I ended up calling him. Boom, no answer. So he don't answer the phone. So I text him and he like, oh, boom, I'm at this casino. I can't talk right now. I'm gambling, baby. Boom. Okay, cool. So then hours pass. So I call him again. He don't call me back, so I'll call him again. No answer. So he said he at a restaurant and it's loud. So now I'm like, he on that type of time. He think he's asleep. So now that I kind of peep his game, I'm kind of like, okay, let me try to put two and two together. So I try to put two and two together and I go on his page. So I go through his comments, I go through his follows. Nothing added up. So nothing added up on me or my homegirl shit. So we like, damn, who he with? Because he definitely doing something. So mind you, he like, you know, just keep texting me. So I'm kind of playing it cool, like, you know, we kind of talking about the trip, we did that, you know what I'm saying? So I'm playing it cool, but the whole time I'm kind of peeping his game. So me and my homegirl trying to put two and two together, but we don't have no facts yet, so it's nothing for me to say. So mind you, I just was kind of sitting there thinking, so I had thought back, so I had to think back or whatever. So boom, it was this girl who had come in under his picture, and I asked him about it. I'm like, who is she? And he was like, oh, she's nobody. So I made him delete the comment, right? So he deleted the comment, so I had to think about it. I'm like, I couldn't find her Instagram. I couldn't find her Instagram name. I didn't know it. Nothing. So guess what I do? I go to his TikTok, and Lord and behold, he followed her on TikTok. Because you know how TikTok kind of add people that's in your contacts automatically? That's how I found it. So y'all, why I go to her page and it's her birthday? It's her fucking birthday. So I'm getting ready to go out or whatever. Around this time, I'm kind of getting ready to go out. So I couldn't put two and two together right then and there because I was going to go out and have a good time. So my homegirl, she was chilling. So she was like, I'm about to see, you know, put two and two together. Because why this nigga had posted a picture and she posted a picture, but that was kind of from two different angles. So my homegirl put two and two together. Because I leave the house or whatever. I go to the club, middle of the club. She like, ooh, they together. That's who he with. So now I'm kind of heated. Mid-club or I text him instantly. I'm like, boom, so you with the girl? I said her name. So why he hit me with the, nah, I'm at the bar with the guys. And the guys that he mentioned, we live in a city full of them. And he ain't never mentioned them before. So that's how I knew he was lying. So of course, he just lied. So I'm in the club. I come home. You know, I'm toe up. I'm kind of drunk. I had a good time. I lay down. I text her. Yes, I text her. And asked her, did she talk to... And she responded. 7 in the morning. She responded to me and said, yes, he's in my bed asleep right now.
The way TikTok automatically syncs contacts is the greatest detective tool of the 21st century. I am telling you, the FBI needs to hire this woman. She put two and two together just by looking at a suggested follow. But the audacity of this guy, he's in Miami, supposedly gambling, but he's actually ignoring her calls to be with another woman. And the text at 7 a.m. from the other girl confirming, yes, he's asleep in my bed, that is a mic drop. It's painful, but honestly, I prefer this clarity over the gaslighting. At least now she knows. He thought he was playing the game, but he got played by the algorithm. Getting cheated on is awful, but at least she found out before marriage. What happens when the betrayal comes years later, and it's not just about another woman, but about abandoning your family in the cruelest way possible?
My ex-husband filed for divorce while I was out of state on vacation with our son. He told me on the Friday, and I'm going to let you know everything that happened within the week, Friday to Friday, so that way you can understand what a success process could potentially look like. I'm also going to let you know that it is chaotic as hell. So he told me on Friday at 4 p.m. I had just come back from a 10-day vacation with our son. He told me that we were going to be doing 223. I had said, and he told me that I could keep our son for that weekend. I said, I just came back from a 10-day vacation with him. Why don't you spend the weekend with him? He moved in with his mom. While I was gone, there were a lot of belongings that were missing that I didn't even notice over the 24 hours that we were still cohabitating before he actually told me that he was leaving me and that he had already filed for divorce while I was gone. Mind you, he signed the divorce papers when I was in his grandmother's house in California. Diabolical. More on that later. So he told me on Friday, me and my best friend, we had tattoo appointments to get these bad boys that night. We went, got an espresso martini, got our tattoos, came home, empty house, was vibing. Everything was okay. Next day, I actually started watching Tell Me Lies that next day, but my friends told me that they did not want me sitting on the couch being lonely. So we went out to the Jack's Beach bars, had a great time. I decided to take an Uber home, got hit by a drunk driver. He was still the emergency contact in my phone. So it alerted him that I was in a car accident at 3 a.m, which was so great for me. But did he reach out? No, he did not. Did he ask if I was okay? No, he did not. So instead of waiting for me to be served the divorce papers by a process server, my mom and I actually went down to the courthouse first thing Monday morning to get the papers because we wanted to know what was in them. And you guys, when I tell you that these papers are diabolical, every single person that I've actually shown what the original divorce that he requested looks like, is he fucking insane? And yes, potentially. But you ask for the moon and hope that you land on a star. You know what I mean? Or is the phrase reversed? You ask for the stars and hope you land on the moon. I think that that's a better one. Anyways, after we had the paperwork, we went and sat in a parking lot. Didn't want to be home because that's where I knew that the process server was probably going to go. I also didn't want to be at my mom's house because that was probably another address that they gave. Did not also want to be at my place of employment because that could also be another place that I could get served. Once you get served, your timeline starts. You have 30 days to respond. So that means that you kind of want to push it out. Plus, they have to pay for every single time that a server attempts to serve you. So, there's also that. Petty bullshit, whatever. Was sitting in a parking lot in downtown Jax, okay? Calling different law offices, scheduling consultations. I spent about $1,200 in just consultations alone before I landed on my lawyer that I have now. I love my lawyer. She is a badass bitch. I'm telling you, baddies congregate. I recommend her to everyone who has the financial means to have her. She was 10 out of 10. I also want to mention that I would not have been able to do everything in the haste in which that I did it when the time came without the support of my parents. I'm so thankful. Let me tell you guys, my parents do not like each other. My parents got divorced 20 years ago. They do not like each other, but they agreed on the hatred of this man. And I think that speaks volumes. Anyway, so I'm recovering from my car accident, hiring a divorce attorney. Had my divorce attorney, let's say this, he left on Friday. I had an attorney, signed, contract delivered by Wednesday. I actually did not get served by the process server until I want to say the following Monday or Tuesday. And he had come by 3 to 4 times. Yeah. It was very helpful for my attorney that I had already had ChatGPT basically write the entire circumstance of what was going on, basically gave her a level 1 introduction to what she was walking into. I sent in an email form. It was very, very long. I also had started working on a parenting plan of what I wanted to go into this divorce with, knowing that I had certain ramifications that I wanted in my parenting plan. So I was very, very prepared. Like I said, I was plotting this for 3 years, you guys. I was prepared. You need to be prepared too. Anyways, I hope this helps one of you in your next steps. But that was like literally the week that happened and everything that I was able to do and everything that you could potentially do as well. Do not get into a car accident. Do not get into a car accident. I repeat that. It's okay that you go out with your friends, but like if you can avoid it, don't get into a car accident.
This is actually evil. Leaving your wife is one thing. Filing for divorce while she is on vacation with your child, moving out and taking the furniture is another. But the fact that she got hit by a drunk driver, was in the hospital, and he, still listed as the emergency contact, didn't even reach out? That is cold. That is diabolical. And then to serve her papers that everyone is calling insane? It just shows you that you never really know who you are married to until you try to divorce them. The person you loved disappears, and you are left negotiating with a stranger who apparently hates you. The resilience she showed, getting a lawyer within days despite the accident, is incredible. And if you think emotional abandonment is the worst part of a divorce, wait until you hear about the financial secrets. This next one hits a different kind of nerve because it's about survival.
I can't leave my girl hanging like this, so I'm going to keep on going. So Kylie was like, yes, he hid money, like a lot. Details. I need more details. I will provide you as many details as I can without being too on the nose. So for context, he exited his previous career when we moved to Florida, and did not really start another career up until last year. So you do the math. We moved here in 2018 and he did not start a new career until 2024. So that's 6 years. 6 years. And I put an emphasis on career and not jobs because there were some jobs and roles that were performed, readily available on LinkedIn. So I'm not even saying anything. I'm not even saying anything that is not easily researched by some of you internet sleuths that I know exist. But for the better part of Logan's childhood, I worked. I worked all the time. I worked 3 jobs. I went back to work 10 days postpartum after he was born, because we needed the money. And, I was laid off about when Logan was 6 months old. Really kind of wanted to just kind of figure things out, being in a new state with new, financial requirements, things like that. And then not only that, but even when I was a stay-at-home mom, I was still working. I was still working for my mom and her brokerage, helping them do file transactions just to help pay for formula and diapers and clothes and basically the essentials that we needed to survive. During this time, I never got an allowance. I was always felt really guilty ever asking for money. I can remember, and this is really hard to talk about, I can remember this one time, and I've unpacked this during therapy, but I remember this one time that I asked him to go to the store for formula, and he said no, that it was my turn to go buy formula. Mind you, I'm not working. So I drove myself to the store to get formula, and I literally was counting quarters in my car to make it happen for my baby, because it was my turn to buy formula. That was a really hard one. That was something that I had to talk through therapy all the time about, because that should have been a really good indicator early on that just something was amiss, and I didn't know how to ask. Money was always a very big point of contention. So when they say that divorce, the number one reason for divorce is money, I can 100% attest that the number one reason why I held such resentment is because I was just raised in a household where my dad made sure that we always had everything that we needed, even more so than we needed. And he worked his ass off to make sure that we had everything we needed. He would have done quite literally anything and everything that he needed to do to make sure that we had that. And that was just not the case in my own household. And so I actually stepped into the role of making sure that we had everything and anything that we needed. So I started my own business. I really leaned into content creation to help bring in more income. I started working like part-time at places that I absolutely hated, but needed the money, and needed to make connections here in Jacksonville. So that way I could further my career, since, born and raised in California, and now I'm living in Florida. As it pertains to the financial affidavit, if you have ever watched any of my other previous videos, you will know that we did try to reconcile. He did come to me with terms of going to therapy after he had filed for divorce about a month after. I did go to therapy with him, hoping that maybe there was something that could be said or done that could help potentially get us on the right track, or at least have us be friends after the divorce process. But that simply just was not the case. And about a week after I had my aha moment that things were just never going to change and that I couldn't do this for the rest of my life, started the divorce process again. Basically, we put everything on pause, and then I emailed my lawyer saying let's go, let's get this done. Got the financial affidavit and saw some accounts that I didn't even know that existed with extremely large sums of money in them. And just felt so betrayed because it took me back to that moment in the parking lot where I was counting change out of my glove box to buy our kid formula because it was my turn to buy it, even though I wasn't working. And I wasn't working to the point where I was making a lot of money. I was maybe making like $300 a week, just like helping my mom do odd things. And just to come to find that there was just this large sum of money that had been sitting there for the majority of our marriage, was really hard to cope with. Honestly, it's why I could never continue the reconciliation process, because I just felt so betrayed. I honestly think that it's a very unforgivable thing.
This broke my heart. The image of her counting quarters from the glove box to buy baby formula while her husband had secret accounts with large sums of money? That is financial abuse, plain and simple. It's not just about being cheap, it's about control. He watched her struggle. He watched the mother of his child panic about basic necessities, and he sat on a pile of cash. That is unforgivable. She's right. You can't reconcile after that. How do you ever trust someone again when you know they were willing to let you suffer just to hoard resources? It's a betrayal of the partnership on the most fundamental level. We've seen a lot of people blaming others and being victims of terrible circumstances. But sometimes the toxicity comes from within, and the bravest thing you can do is admit it.
I'm an alcoholic. I'm in recovery. I'm also an addict in recovery. I've been sober for 5 years. Let's get ready in Detroit while I tell you guys another story that is one of the reasons I decided to get sober. So this story, we're going back to college. Also, I'm in Detroit right now with Ford Racing. I'm so excited. We're going to be doing a bunch of Ford Racing stuff today to celebrate the launch of the 2026 season. So if you guys don't like racing, or you don't know if you like racing, buckle up because we're going racing. Racing is what I do for work. I travel every weekend to different racetracks, and racing season is starting, so you guys will be coming with me. But anyway, let's get into the story. I'm in college. It is definitely my junior year because I remember this was right kind of like a few months before I broke up with my college boyfriend, which happened in my junior year. So we do have a solid timeline on this one, which is great. We usually don't get that. I still had friends that would go out with me at this point, so things weren't horrible yet. I want to say it was like probably around like the like maybe winter time. Not really 100% sure. I can't get that specific with it. I remember we were supposed to be meeting some friends because like in our friend group, there's this one girl and she had an out-of-town boyfriend. He was in town and we were all going to go out and just like spend time with him. It was our first time meeting him. He was like a great guy and so we were really excited to meet him, whatever. So the girl that we were friends with, her boyfriend, and then our other friends were all at one house where they were pre-gaming and we were all going to go out to bars. I was pre-gaming at my boyfriend at the time's house, who was just like a little bit down the road, and then we were going to walk over to the house and meet everybody else. Seems like a normal night, right? Everything's planned out, everything's good, and honestly, for the most part, it wasn't anything crazy at first, which... Wow, shocker, Jordan. We actually held it together for more than 5 seconds. A lot of the times I would like just get way too drunk at the pregame, not even make it to the next pregame or the bars. But this time I was really wanting to go out and meet my friend's boyfriend. So I was like really trying to like really trying. Also, I guess I can't give myself too much credit because I was literally at the pregame before the pregame and I couldn't even make it past that. So maybe I'm giving myself credit where credit is not due. So I'm pre-gaming with my boyfriend at the time and we're in his house and he has like 4 roommates and they all have friends over and they're having like a little party. I think everybody was kind of like going to different places that night. I cannot remember exactly what I was drinking, but I definitely was drinking shots. There might have been like wine mixed in there. I was starting to explore with other like types of drinks besides hard alcohol, not as a substitute, God, don't get ahead of yourselves, but just as an additional, because I started to figure out if I chased with alcohol, right? Like if I took a shot instead of like chasing with like a chaser or like something non-alcoholic, if I chase with something alcoholic, that's more alcohol. And in comparison to the shot I'm taking, the wine or the beer or whatever else I'm chasing with tastes like just water. So this is a great way to get some extra alcohol in me. Seems like a brilliant idea at the time, and now I see it was just incredibly alcoholic. But that was how I always drank. I always wanted more, figured out a way to have more. And Jordan couldn't see that all she really needed was less. Not only did she need less, she needed 0. So we're drinking and I don't know, having fun at this pregame or whatever my concept of fun at the time is. I probably was just like happy that I wasn't absolutely blacked out before 8 p.m. We decide, okay, it's time for us to walk over to our friend's house right down the road, meet our friend's boyfriend, and then we're all going to go out. I think we were going to go to like Billy Bob's or something, which is like this like honky tonk in Fort Worth. I don't know. I went to school in Texas, so there was a lot of two-stepping and that sort of behavior going on. Now, like I said, it came the time to leave and walk over to our friends, and my boyfriend at the time decided he didn't want to go anymore. Okay, fine, you don't want to go anymore. I still wanted to go. Now, in a perfect world, I would have just been like, okay, you don't want to go, well, I'm going to go, and I'm leaving, which is what I did. But, and again, it gets very fuzzy. I don't 100% remember what's going on. Can say that I definitely made it an ordeal. Now, I don't remember the exact kind of order of events that happened, but I remember we somehow got into some big argument in front of all of his roommates, which could I have just been chill for 5 seconds? Hey, Jordan, be chill, okay? All you have to do is just say, okay, well, I'm still going, and leave. You don't have to get into some big dramatic argument. We can deal with that later. And yes, you might say part of this is just, oh, you were just young. It's just how your relationship was. Like, you were in college. Like, you didn't know, like, how to, like, communicate. Sure, but also not sure, okay? Like, I didn't need to, like, make a big ordeal in front of a bunch of people, you know? But I think it's because, like, when I was drinking, right? Because I'm not sober by any means at this point. I'm not blacked out because I do remember this. That ended up happening later, and we'll get there. Like, I'm not of sound mind, right? So, like, everything's a bigger deal. Everything's super dramatic. Like, I always say, like, Jordan always had to have the big curtain and the big thing and the big, like, finale. Like, there was always a light show and, like, oh my God, it was insane. And also, I want to reiterate that my, like, goal and, like, point in, like, retelling these stories is to look at my part in them, right? So I'm not blaming the person I was dating. I'm not blaming my friends. Like, I'm not blaming anybody. Like, goal in telling this is to look at my part in it and how I can be accountable for my actions as an active alcoholic. So that's kind of why I only talk about things from my experience, and I'm not here to, like, bash on anybody else. So not sure what happened. I probably say something to spark an argument because boyfriend at the time says he doesn't want to leave his friends, or he doesn't want to, I don't know. I don't remember. He don't want to come, whatever, fine, he don't want to come. I get all mad because I'm like, no. And remember, if somebody got in the way of my plans for the evening, it was an ordeal. It was an ordeal. And I was like, no, like, fine. I'm going by myself. Storm out. It's probably freezing outside. I'm in little shorts, like, who knows what's going on. Going to my friend's house, and he starts to follow me. So he follows me there. It's not that far. It's like 2 blocks. So I'm walking. He's following me. I didn't love that he was following me. I don't know. Wasn't my favorite thing. Ended up getting to my friend's house, and whatever. Like, I'm knocking on the door, right? And I'm like, let me in, let me in, let me in, because he's following me. I don't really, like, 100% remember. I think slammed the door and locked it and, like, literally just started crying. Now, I am not saying that one person is right or one person is wrong in this situation. I'm only talking about myself. I can't say that I was being very dramatic. Do you know what I mean? Like, I could have just left in peace and gone over there. But anyway, that's not the end of the story. Okay, so I go to my friend's house. I get inside. I close the door, whatever. My friends tell my boyfriend at the time, like, you need to leave. You need to go home, whatever. He leaves. And then I just go upstairs into my friend's room, lay down on the bed and just start crying. Just start crying, bawling, crying. They're like comforting me. Oh my God, Jordan, are you okay? What's going on? And I'm like a blubbering mess, right? Like I'm on the like verge of blacking out at this point. I'm drinking a lot and I was not blacked out yet, but now that I was laying down, like things were starting to spin. I wasn't really like sure what was going on and I was just like delusional and crying. So I think it was a combination of all the alcohol and then just being so emotional. I did not end up going out with my friends that night. I think I slept in my friend's bed and then they came home and we woke up the next morning and like went and got breakfast. They kind of like recounted the night for me, but yeah, it ended there for me. Like I didn't even get to go out to the bars, and this is what I'm saying, you guys, like always some sort of dramatic big ordeal. Never made it past the pregame. In this case, the pregame didn't even make it past it, okay? But there's more to the story, and I'm not telling you every single little detail just to protect everybody's privacy, but honestly, it doesn't really matter because I'm only looking at my part in these things. That's how it is every time I tell you guys these stories. I'm not here to tell other people's stories. Other people might be a player in my story, or they might have a role in my story, but I'm not here to tell theirs. So I am only speaking from my experience, what my role in it was, and my role in this story was that I could not just make it past the pregame. I always had to cause some chaos, not just for the people at the pregame itself or the pregame itself, but also my friends who I was trying to go out with. Like they just wanted to have a fun night with this guy who was in town, and I literally couldn't even like let them do that. And I didn't even go. I was ruining things I wasn't even going to. My friends were incredibly amazing friends that night, and they made sure that I was in bed safe. They made sure I was okay before they went out to the bars. And I would get you guys saying like, oh, Jordan, it was just like a bad night with your boyfriend. It's okay. But you guys, something like this happened every single time that I drank. There was no chill night. There was always some sort of chaotic tornado, and I involved everybody around me, people who weren't even there with me. I am so glad that I'm sober now and I don't have to ruin people's nights. And if I do, it's just because I'm being annoying, not because I'm drunk. Okay, love you guys. Bye.
I really appreciate this level of honesty. It's so easy to tell stories about crazy exes or bad nights, but she is sitting here saying, I was the problem. She admits she ruined nights she didn't even attend. That pregame before the pregame mentality, that is the addiction talking. It's chaotic and it's exhausting, not just for her, but for everyone around her. Hearing her talk about this from a place of sobriety 5 years later is so refreshing. It shows that people can change, but only if they stop looking at what everyone else did wrong and start looking at the mirror. This is real growth. After all that heaviness, stalkers, lies, divorce, and addiction, we desperately need a reminder that sometimes strangers can actually be good people. Let's end on a shift in the steakhouse.
The grill stopped working at the steakhouse I work at. You want to know what that means? It means no steak. No steak at the steakhouse for you. When you get into the service industry, no one really warns you about the hidden job description that is telling customers that you are out of something very important for your place of business. One time I was working at a coffee shop and we ran out of coffee but stayed open. All right, so let me walk you through this shift. So I go in, I'm the patio opener. So just me and one other server on our side of the restaurant, which is the bar side. And typically there's a little gaggle of people that accumulates outside of the restaurant as we're opening. Most of that gaggle goes to the dining side of the restaurant. However, our side is the only side that does happy hour. And apparently everyone wanted happy hour. And right off the bat, me and my coworker get 5 tables each in about 15 minutes. If you've been in the service industry, you know having 5 tables is not that hard, okay? It's pretty easy to manage as long as you got your timing down. However, getting 5 tables all at the same time, that means 5 greets at the same time. That means 5 appetizers at the same time. That means 5 drinks at the same time. That means however many entrees at the same time. And then, of course, they all close out at the same time. Now, for the record, it was not that busy at the restaurant, okay? It was just a lot of things to do all at one time. And so here I am, getting in my little flow state, getting everyone started. None of my tables even started to order food for like 30 minutes. Everyone was just chilling, having their drinks, working up an appetite. I take my first food order. It's a 2-top. I bring it in, and then all of a sudden, the kitchen lead comes over. We lock eyes. We lock eyes from across the room, and I'm like, oh no. My immediate thought is I messed something up. So he speed walks over to me while staring me down, okay? And he comes up to me and he goes, didn't anyone tell you? I'm sorry, tell me what? And he goes, oh, the grill isn't working. Now, the logic in my brain was telling me that means none of my tables can get steak or anything grilled at the steakhouse that they came to eat steak at. But I just wanted to clarify. So I go, so what can we cook? Salad? Fries? Bread? We got a lot of bread? So instead of doing something drastic, like going up to all of my tables and telling them we cannot make them steak at the steakhouse that they came to eat steak at, I decide to find my manager. Like, hey bud, what's the sitch? And he goes, yeah, if we can't fix this in about 15 minutes, we're probably gonna have to close. I would go tell all of your tables now that we can't make steak. Awesome. Mind you, at this point, my tables were hungry. They were getting ready to go. As I'm walking up to these tables, I feel like I'm walking to my own funeral. Because one thing about the service industry, I could go up to all those tables and say, hey guys, a bomb just exploded in the back. Sorry, we can't make your food. And they'll still get mad at you. I'm not a grill repairman. I don't know how to fix it. And so I go up to the table that ordered food first. They were fine. They said, we'll wait it out for a little bit. And if nothing changes, we'll leave. And I was like, okay, thanks guys. I go up to my next table. My next table was a group of elderly couples that were just having some drinks, having a good time. And they were all so excited about the steak because I hyped up the filet so hard. They were my first table, so I was spending some time with them, okay? I was telling them what food they should get, what wine pairs well. They ended up getting wine that was going to pair well with the steak that they couldn't get. So I go up to their table and I'm like, hey besties. So remember all that steak I was talking about? You can't get it. No, I did not say that. I was like, guys, I am so sorry. We're working on it. The kitchen is working really hard to fix it. If you want, I can circle back in about 5 minutes and that way you guys can make a decision from there about whether or not you want to continue to eat here. I can get y'all some bread in the meantime. They were bummed, but they were really sweet about it. So I continue this process and on my last table, I do my same spiel. The worst part? It was someone's birthday. It was the guy's birthday. He had a buy one, get one free entree for his birthday, and he couldn't get an entree. And while this couple is like laughing, like, hey, that's kind of insane for the grill to break at a steakhouse, they're sitting there holding their wine. They're like, ha ha ha, can you get your manager? Yeah. So I go let my manager know my table would like to talk to him. And then I scurry off to the back to see what the situation is. And as I'm walking down the line, the kitchen lead looks at me and he goes, grill's working again. Right after I spent about 10 minutes telling all of my tables that their hopes and dreams of having a steak were crushed. So now I scurry back and I let everyone know the good news. Everyone is elated, having a great time. They can have their steak. But this also means that's 5 orders to be rung in at the same time. So I take all of the orders and then I scurry over to the terminal and I'm hunched over it as if I'm hacking the mainframe. So many mods. The last table I was talking about, the ones that asked for my manager, the guy was like, make sure my mushrooms are hot. He looks me dead in the eyes and he goes, if my mushrooms are not steaming, piping hot, I'm sending the dish back. And now I'm just gonna say, this table was actually very, very nice the majority of their time there. They were sitting there for like 3 hours just having a good time. And they said some weird things, but they were very nice to me. So I'm at the terminal. I'm typing in, make sure the mushrooms are extra hot. Please. I finally get done and I have a moment of relief. And then I realize that my other coworkers got in. And now, like I said, it was not that busy in the restaurant. So they saw me sweating and they were like, are you good? I don't have time to explain. I just need to make sure these people's food comes out correctly and they all enjoy their experience because majority of the tables were so nice and understanding about it. Everyone gets their food. Everything's okay. Everyone is stoked. Now I have time to actually laugh and talk to my tables. My table with older folks was having a great time. They ended up tipping me $50 on 300, I think. Mushroom Man, his wife, and I have all formed a bond at this point, and we're just sitting there laughing. We're talking about our jobs. They ended up tipping me like $30 on a $100 tab, which is amazing. And then as order is restored in the restaurant and everything slows down to the calm night it was supposed to be, I had one last table. I had a few more in between, but this was a memorable one. It was just this guy coming in to treat himself. He got a table for himself. He got himself 2 glasses of wine. He got himself a burger. And as he's winding down, finishing up, I'm sitting there chatting with him a little bit. Come to find out, that day was his first day at his new job, and it went amazing. He also then proceeded to tell me that he is going deaf in both of his ears, and he didn't think that he could get a job, and so this has been like a godsend to him. And ain't that just so sweet? Like I said, he was my last table, so I spent about 5 minutes just standing there talking to him. And at the end, he wrote on his check, "You are amazing," and he tipped me $20 on a $70 tab. All in all, pretty decent night. But I should have known when I started feeling good about my pacing that something was gonna go wrong.
Okay, I needed this. If you have ever worked in the service industry, you felt that panic when the grill broke. The steakhouse with no steak, that is a disaster waiting to happen. But I love how this turned out. Instead of screaming, the customers were understanding. And that ending with the deaf man who was just celebrating his new job, that is so sweet. He tipped $20 on a $70 tab just because he was grateful. It's a beautiful reminder that even when things go wrong, even when the grill breaks in life, people can still be kind. Not everyone is a stalker or a cheater. Some people are just mushroom man wanting hot mushrooms, or a guy grateful for a second chance. We have been through an absolute roller coaster today. And if there's one thing sticking with me, it is the terrifying and beautiful complexity of the human experience. We started with a woman literally fighting for her physical safety in a warehouse store, using her wits to outsmart a predator. That was raw survival instinct. But then we peeled back the layers and saw that safety isn't just about avoiding a stalker in an aisle. Sometimes the danger is in your own home. Think about the contrast we just witnessed. We saw a woman inventing a fake life with a fake fiancé because the reality was too lonely to bear. We saw a man living a double life, juggling women across state lines, thinking technology wouldn't catch up to him. And most heartbreakingly, we saw a husband who watched his wife count quarters for baby formula while he sat on a secret fortune. These aren't just stories about bad relationships. They are stories about the masks people wear. We walk around every day thinking we know the people in our lives, our roommates, our partners, our spouses. But the hard truth is that trust is a fragile thing. You never truly know someone until you see how they handle a crisis, or money, or a breakup. The receipts guy showed us that there are always two sides to a story, and the internet has made it so that we are all keeping score. But is that a way to live? Constantly collecting evidence just in case things go south? It's exhausting. That's why the story about the sobriety journey was so powerful. In a world full of people blaming everyone else, pointing fingers at crazy exes and toxic friends, seeing someone stand up and say, "I was the chaos, I was the tornado," is incredibly rare. It reminds us that while we can't control the stalkers or the lying spouses, we can control how we show up. We can choose to face our own demons instead of projecting them onto others. And thank goodness we ended at that steakhouse. Because after seeing the worst of humanity, the selfishness, the delusion, the predation, we needed to see the best of it. We needed to see that sometimes strangers aren't trying to follow you. They just want to share a moment of joy about a new job. We needed to see that sometimes when the system breaks down or the grill breaks down, people can choose patience instead of anger. So here is what I want you to take away from this. Be safe. Trust your gut if you feel like someone is following you, physically or metaphorically. Check the bank accounts. Ask the hard questions. But don't let the darkness of these stories stop you from being the kind of person who tips well, who owns their mistakes, and who helps a stranger when they are scared. The world is full of mushroom men and kind strangers, even if the algorithm feeds us the drama. I want to hear from you guys in the comments. We touched on financial infidelity today, keeping secret money from a spouse. Do you think that is just as bad as physical cheating, or is a little privacy necessary in a marriage? Where do you draw the line? Let me know down below. Stay safe, trust your instincts, and I'll see you in the next one.